Okay. Alderwoman, take us away.
Thanks, Audrey. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for being here. I'm Alderwoman Lenny Manaa-Hoppenworth, 48th Ward, Edgewater and Uptown. And today we're going to be talking about participatory budgeting. So our agenda is on the next slide, and we're going to go through some housekeeping things. We're going to talk about what exactly participatory budgeting is, or PB. On our graphic there, we've got a fun logo that Audrey created. And we're going to talk about the ballot, what's on it, how to vote, and what we can look forward to in 2027. We have a shared values that our team worked on and want to share with you. It includes empowerment, anti-racism, community service, and joy. And for every meeting, we ask folks to consider our community agreements to be present, be compassionate, be generous, be brave. And if there's anything else you think we should consider, please put it in the chat. This meeting is for all of us. So what is participatory budgeting? It's how we decide together how to spend our discretionary funds in the 48th Ward. And we brought it to the 48th Ward for the first time in 2023, and we're excited to continue it on. It's a democratic process. It enhances democracy, local democracy, and transparency and engagement. So what is on the ballot? We're going to talk a lot about the projects that we've got on the ballot this year, and then I'm going to hand it off to Nicole, our Chief of Staff at the 48th Ward, to share with you all of these great projects, and then I'll come back later.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Hi, everybody. My name is Nicole Granicki. I am the Chief of Staff here in the 48th Ward office, and I have the pleasure of talking us through the 10 projects that are on the 2026 participatory budget ballot. Before I get started, just a shout out to everybody who participated in this process. Every single one of these project ideas came from the community, from workshops, from our interest forum. And now here they are. Now we're going to vote on them and make them a reality. All right, so this is number one of 10. So in no particular order, one of the projects that you can vote for, we're calling residential pedestrian safety. What this is three different sets of bump outs at three residential intersections, Greenview and Highland, Greenview and Rosemont, and Hood and Lakewood. The reason we add bump outs in the community is to reduce pedestrian crossing distances, improve visibility of residents, and slow down turning drivers. One thing to note about this intersection that is pictured here with the circle, that's Hood and Lakewood, that this project would also include removing that southbound ramp at the northwest corner of Hood and Lakewood. Right now, there is a ramp there that goes to nowhere. That is actually leading across the street to somebody's private driveway. So it's not a proper crosswalk. It's a little confusing. So we're proposing with CDOT's recommendation to remove that to make sure that folks are crossing safely. And then the photo in the very bottom, or the map in the photo that Audrey made, shows the three intersections where the proposed bump outs would be located. So if you would like to vote for this project, this one is called Residential Pedestrian Safety. Next slide. All right, our next group of projects we're calling arterial pedestrian safety. These are two sets of bump outs on our arterial streets. One at Sheridan and Winona, and one at Summerdale and Clark. And I will just say Summerdale and Clark is one of the intersections that we get the most calls about in our office in terms of pedestrian safety concerns. There are supposed to already be paint and post bump outs at Summerdale and Clark, but you can see from the photo, they're not there. They've just been hit so many times that they're completely gone. And so this project would put concrete bump outs and permanent bump outs there. So again, the bump out benefits are to reduce pedestrian crossing distances, improve visibility, and slow down drivers. We also, as a side note, do have other bump outs that were voted on coming soon. So in last year's participatory budget session, we voted to add bump outs at Gregory and Clark and Hollywood and Clark. So if we add Summerdale and Clark, there'll be 3 intersections along Clark where we have these pedestrian safety measures. Next slide. All right, our third project here we're calling School Pedestrian Safety. These were projects that were not only requested by the school communities, but also by the neighbors who live next to these schools. So this project would add raised crosswalks at 2 intersections, one at Thorndale and Winthrop, which is right by Swift Elementary, and one at Bryn Mawr and Glenwood, which is by Pierce Elementary. Raised crosswalks are really great. They have a lot of benefits. They do slow down drivers because they essentially act as a speed bump. They also make pedestrians more visible since their pedestrians aren't stepping down into the street, they're staying at sidewalk level. So they're raised up a little higher, a little more eye level with the drivers. And so these are proven measures to increase pedestrian safety. And we're trying to put as many of these next to our schools in the 48th Ward as we can. We voted last year to add 2 raised intersections right by Sen High School, and those are going to be installed this summer. Another thing to note about this project is that it does include also bump outs along Bryn Mawr. So similar to Summerdale and Clark, Bryn Mawr pedestrian safety is a topic that we hear a lot about from neighbors in our office. So we are proposing adding bump outs at Bryn Mawr and Wayne, Bryn Mawr and Magnolia, and Bryn Mawr and Lakewood to make it safer to cross Bryn Mawr at those intersections. So this one, if you like this one, this is school pedestrian safety. Next, this is a combination infrastructure art project. We're calling it Lakefront Trail Placemaking. So as you all know, the 48th Ward is home to the beginning of the Lakefront Trail, and we're really proud of that. A lot of our neighbors use the Lakefront Trail for biking, walking, jogging, enjoying time on the lake. A lot of us live here because of that proximity to the lake. However, it can be tricky to find the beginning of the Lakefront Trail, even for folks who live nearby. There's not really, it's a little bit hidden, I would say. It certainly doesn't make that splash that you would think of. This is the entrance to the Lakefront Trail. So the idea here is to fund what we call a placemaking project at Ardmore, just east of Sheridan at the head of the Lakefront Trail. Um, Placemaking is a concept of designing public spaces that strengthen community, make an environment and community connection, function as wayfinding, public art. They could, as an example, can include street furniture. It can be a big sign. So if folks vote to fund this project, we will have a community engagement process around what exactly the placemaking would look like, but it would bring some more attention and community and design to the entrance of the Lakefront Trail. Next slide. Okay, I think everyone's talking about the utility box art along Clark Street. There's a photo of it here if you haven't seen it yet. I think Gabby Bozeman is her name. Correct me if I'm wrong. The artist who painted about 11 utility boxes along Clark Street, and they just added a splash of color. They are just looking really, really fabulous, and folks are excited about them. So people are asking for more of this. You know, we do have some just bland utility boxes still throughout Edgewater and Uptown. So we have an opportunity there to add some more art to the community. So this project specifically would be about decorating our utility boxes along Bryn Mawr, along Thorndale, and along Granville. These are along our specifically the commercial corridors, near the red line at on these streets. So there's a few options if we do fund this, and again, it'll be a community engagement process around what exactly that art looks like. But there are two examples on the slide here. One is on Clark Street, and then the other one on the bottom there that says Explore Uptown and it says Argyle. Those are throughout Uptown. Those are actually stickers, and they look really great too, and they tell you where you are in the neighborhood. So these are just examples to inspire us for what we could potentially do. Next slide. All right, basketball court fencing. So a couple of years ago, we got two new basketball courts over by Foster Beach. They're really heavily utilized. They look great. There is, however, one problem. They are right next to the bike path. So we do have the ball bouncing into the bike path occasionally, which is not great for cyclists, pedestrians, or basketball players. And so what we are proposing here is a basketball court fence that would go around the basketball court. It would be two because there's two basketball courts right there, right next to each other. And it would make sure that the basketballs don't bounce into the bike lane. So it would improve safety for everybody. Next slide. All right, decorative crosswalks. This is our third year doing participatory budgeting in the 48th ward, and it is the third year that we have had decorative crosswalks on the ballot. So in previous years, we funded decorative crosswalks along Sheridan Road, north of Hollywood, and also on Bryn Mawr between Sheridan and Broadway. And so what we're proposing this year is to keep that going and add more decorative crosswalks on Sheridan south of Foster. So it would be 4 different intersections: Sheridan and Foster, Sheridan and Winona, Sheridan and Argyle, and Sheridan and Ainsley. And you can see a picture of what those decorative crosswalks look like. This one in front of Burger Park was funded by our participatory budget process. I think it was the 2023 process, and then we installed it last year, and it's looking really great. That was kind of right after it was installed, looking really fresh. So it reminds cars, especially those who are just cutting through our neighborhood, that people live here. You could see there the dog and the baby stroller going to and from our park and our lakefront. And they make our neighborhoods look great and also make our pedestrians more visible and keep them safer. Next slide. All right, Swift Elementary has requested $50,000 for a nature play area. So a nature play area is um, a natural play space, like pictured there, like logs and twigs and things that the students can play with. So this would be a pretty small one. It's a small project in a grassy area that Swift already has. They already have a grassy fenced-in area where their pre-K students play, and their pre-K program is getting more and more popular. The enrollment is going up, and they really want to add something to that play space to make it more enjoyable for their students and to give teachers an opportunity to, add learning opportunities to that play space as well. So we're calling this the Swift Nature Play Area. It would be for the pre-K students, and it is right at Swift Elementary. Next slide. Project Sidewalk. So we're calling this Project Sidewalk. If you would like us to improve more sidewalks in the ward. We're already improving tons and tons of sidewalks, but this would specifically earmark $100,000 towards sidewalk repairs. And this would be in collaboration with two different organizations. One is Access Living, which is a disability rights organization, and one is Project Sidewalk. They have a free tool which allows neighbors to go on Google Maps, identify sidewalks that need some attention, especially those that are impeding ADA accessibility, and to flag them for repair. So this would be, if we vote for this would be a collaborative project between Access Living, Project Sidewalk, to help us get as many of our sidewalks repaired as possible. Next slide. And I think this is my last slide. I think this is project number 10, which is simply public arts. So If you want to see more murals in the 48th Ward, you can vote for this one. This would earmark $50,000 towards public art. There's not a specific location or piece of art that this would go towards. That would all be determined in a community visioning process. And we actually, whether or not you vote for this, we are going to be doing that community visioning process because we did allocate $50,000 towards public art last year. So Audrey is getting that on the calendar very soon, and we're going to spend that $50,000 from last year. And then if you vote for this one, we'll bump that up to $100,000 to add public art throughout the ward. And I think that's it. So thank you everybody for listening and to everybody who participated in creating these great projects. Appreciate you all.
Thanks, Nicole. So how do you vote? Firstly, you should be a 48th Ward neighbor. And also, it was really important for us to get young people engaged in this process. So we have the minimum age of 14 years old, and you'll be able to vote. So on the next slide, you'll see that we are going to be using ranked choice voting. Now, what this means is not that you can vote multiple ballots, but you can vote your favorite project multiple times if you wanted to. But you can also rank your choices in order of preference. So after this presentation is done, we can also show you a sample ballot. But you can vote for up to 5 projects or as few as 1. And if you vote multiple times for one project, it'll only be counted once. And the projects with the lowest overall ranking will be eliminated until the winning project comes out on top, and we have a total of $1 million that we could spend. There are many ways to vote. You can vote online. You can go to our page at the48thward.org and go to Participatory Budgeting, where you'll see the link. And you'll see here on the right side, the squares are representative of all of our projects. You can also vote in person at our office at 1129 West Bryn Mawr, at the Visazian Library at 1226 West Ainsley, at the Edgewater Library at 6000 North Broadway, and at Habayo Cafe at 1132 West Argyle. All right, so I hope that you all got some inspiration from the 10 projects that we presented today and for you to vote, and we'd love for you to also spread the word. Next year, we're going to continue on. So what can we expect in 2027? So in the fall, we'll have more community engagement meetings. In the winter, we'll create the ballot based on feedback from these meetings. And then in Q1 in 2027, we'll have voting and project finalization. And so one more time, just to reiterate, we are really excited to have PB. It's a way for us to together figure out ways we want to improve our infrastructure in the 48th Ward and to bring up the voices of everyone who wants to be involved. So please get involved. Please get your friends involved in this process. You can also host a PB community engagement meeting and be happy to come to you. So reach out to us at development@the48thward.org. And we are going to open it up to Q&A after we're done with this presentation one more time. Thank you all for coming, and thank you for helping us to create a culture in the 48th Ward that is collaborative, transparent, and engaging to make our ward better for everyone here. Thank you all.
All right, I'm going to stop the recording here.